Okay. All right, guys, I'm super excited. Tonight we have Brianne Coolidge on, who is an Emerald sideline, who I have just recently kind of gotten to know. I got to hop on her team page for an event that she was doing, and have been able to just kind of watch her and watch her leadership, and she's incredibly inspiring. I love watching her and just getting ideas from her and different things like that. I love that she is a yellow, and we have so many yellows on this team. And what I love, I am a blue, and so what I
Hi,
love, what I love about this company is any color can do this, and any color can be a leader. I think sometimes we think that leaders have to be loud and they have to be outspoken, but leadership takes on many forms, and it looks different for every single person. And so I love that about Brianne, because I love she's super soft spoken, but she has such strong leadership qualities. So I'm going to let her take it away, and she's going to share a little bit of her testimony and also some amazing tips to help us with our business.
thank you for that. And that being said, I do get told a lot that you can't hear me on Zooms because, number one, thank you for the introduction, by the way. That was really, really sweet of you. And that is one of the best parts about this business, is that there are no secrets. I mean, I'm convinced that there's no other network marketing company that you can be involved in where, she jumped on my team page last week, and, we get to share all of these tips with each other because there are no secrets, and every single person can do this. And that is the biggest blessing. But I have 3 kids. They're 4, 5, and 7, and they're sleeping right upstairs above me. So I am kind of soft-spoken, but I also never want to wake them. So if you can't hear me, tell me, because I can speak up a little bit too. So just a little bit about my journey and why I'm here. And the other thing that I love about this, I went upstairs to actually get dressed for you guys and realized that I had like 3 minutes to start. So what other business can you do a meeting? Like, I'm literally in my pajama bottoms already. I mean, really, like, you can work from anywhere at any point in time. You need a cell phone and Wi-Fi, and you can make this business work. I live in a really small town. My husband and we have a dairy farm. And so I tell people that too, if we don't have cell phone service a lot where we are. And so if you can do this where there's not a lot of people, there's more cows on our road than there are people, and no cell phone service, you can make this work. You just need to have the passion for it. This is not something that I ever started out thinking that I wanted to do or to even be a part of. I was a school teacher. And then just a really quick about my background, our health testimony has been completely changed by these products. In a 3.5-year time span, I had all 3 of my babies, and I was diagnosed with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and celiac disease within that 3-year time span. My thyroid was shot. I was having migraines. My hormones were all over the place. And along with that, my oldest daughter, who will be 8 in January, when she was 14 months old, she went into her first anaphylactic food attack from a tree nut. And so I was teaching at the time, and my mom called me and said, I don't know what's going on with Rye, but you need to get here, and you need to get here really quickly. And so we raced her to the emergency room, by far the scariest day of my life, because when you get a call like that and you're not sure what's going on, you want to fix it, right? And so that, I just dived into everything with her and her allergies. And so as moms, we put things on the back burner because we want to take care of everybody else. And I am a very strong yellow. And so I poured from an empty cup all of the time. It's crazy how much you want things for other people and how much you can tell other people that they need to do things, but you don't do it for yourself. And I was in that position, so at 14 months old, she was diagnosed with the anaphylactic tree nut allergy. And over the next 3 years, we had eliminated gluten, we had eliminated dairy. Eggs caused eczema on her body. I mean, to the point where the back of her legs was bleeding. Like she wouldn't, at 3.5, 4 years old, she knew that she didn't want to wear shorts because her skin was so inflamed. Um, Food allergies were crazy, but her outdoor allergies, if my husband had cut the grass, if she walked outside, even with her allergy medication, her eyes would just start running, her nose would start running. Going into the dairy barn, even with her allergy medication again, my in-laws live like right outside, and we would right outside the barn entrance door, and we would go up to her house and get washcloths and just have to douse her, to get the pollens and the dander from the animals and stuff off of her. And I mean, the crazy thing about all of that is that it became our normal, that just seemed like that was something that we were always going to have to live with because we had the allergy medication. I love essential oils. I use them to clean a lot, but it was such a symptom masker for us. And we had inhalers and EpiPens and all of these different things that we did. I went out and bought a really expensive bed because I thought that that would solve all of my arthritic pain when I was getting up in the morning. But I know now that so many of those things are just maskers. So many of us don't wake up one morning and feel immediately bad. It's just a natural progression, and we feel worse over time. So we just learn to deal with those symptoms. And I think that it's really, really important that when we're here and we're on this journey, we know that now, we know looking back that we have all of these things going on with us and we could have fixed it. But those people that we're talking to, they're still in that place. They don't have the hope yet that we have now. And sometimes it's really easy to just be like, oh my gosh, you're tired? Here, take my pink drink. It's going to solve everything. But they aren't there yet. And so it's going to take some persuasion to get there. But I also tell people our health testimony for a couple of different reasons too. I thought that we were healthy. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was in the health food store all the time. Food labels completely ruled our life. I have never been an avid workout person, but with 3 kids, when I'd started this, the kids were 2, 3, and 5. And so I had 3 kids under 5 years old. We were always active. And so I thought that was our healthy. And when somebody came to me and started talking to me about plexus, I was that girl that rolled my eyes and scrolled by faster and didn't want anything to do with it. I would call my sister-in-law and be like, oh my gosh, did you see the latest person that's posting about plexus? Because I can't believe that they're using Facebook to sell things. Now, I post about plexus all the time now, but I was the biggest skeptic. And so I didn't think that I needed it. And the girl that had messaged me about it, I did what so many of us do. I posted on Facebook one day about Rye and her allergies, and she sent me a message, and we were just acquaintances. So it was kind of like, back up. Why are you messaging me about this? Like, no, I'm okay. We've already taken probiotics. We're already taking a multivitamin. And so I ignored her for a little while. And then she messaged again. And as a yellow, I was like, okay, I'm just going to order this. This was 3 years ago in January this year. I ordered the probiotic and the bio cleanse, and I ordered as a preferred customer, and I tried it for 2 weeks. And I remember thinking that was really cool because I didn't need something sweet after I had had a meal, but it wasn't enough for me. And I quit. For 6 months, I would not answer messages back from Erica. I went into what I call the PPP, the Plexus Protection Program. Those people that were so excited because we just know that this is going to change their life. Like full on, in 6 months from now, we're going to be their favorite person because everything's going to change for them. And then 3 days in, after they've told us something that's really amazing, all of a sudden they won't answer us back anymore. Yeah, I was that girl. I didn't answer her back. I didn't want anything to do with it for 6 months. But it also taught me something really important. When we're on this journey, just because we want it for somebody does not mean that they want it for somebody. And as a yellow, it gives me chills even thinking about it. It makes me emotional thinking about it because we want it for them. And we will do anything, like short of driving to their house and laying out their pills for them, like I do with my kids. I can't do that for everybody. we have to remember that this is their timing. Love on everyone. Just because somebody has stopped taking the products, don't take it personally. They will come back, but it has to be in their timing. So if you love on everybody and invest in the ones that are ready to be invested in, it's so, so, so important in this. So quit for 6 months. I had resigned from teaching because at that point, well, I resigned when I was supposed to go back after my second daughter was born and didn't want to put them in a daycare setting because of Riley's allergies. Resigned from teaching. A week later, found out that our son was on the way, complete surprise. And so I had no teaching job. Our main source of income was not there. And I had my third kid on the way and I was panicked. So I started a vinyl business making like the vinyl decals on Etsy. And I was working in my basement until like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, getting up, doing it all again. I was exhausted, I was tired, but I wanted to look like everything was perfect. So I put on that mask that everything was fine. And inside I felt like I was just depleted all the time. And so Erica, same sponsor, we're not super, super close at the time. I was on her dream team list. I did not know that a dream team list existed at that point, but she bought something off of my vinyl shop and came and stood in my driveway and said, you know, I really want you to try these products again. Do a little bit of research if that's what you need to do. And so I decided then, you know, what we were doing wasn't going to work. It wasn't working. And she was buying something off of my shop. So I wanted to pay the favor back, but I was convinced that I would get my money back because I did not think that it was going to work. Within a month, I felt completely different. Started Riley on it. She felt completely different within a month. She's been off of all of her allergy medication. She can go to the barn. She can roll around in grass. She's eating all of her low intolerant foods. I mean, the products have been amazing for us. But if you're here and you're watching this, or you're listening, or you're watching the playback, whatever, and you feel like I don't have an amazing testimony to share with people, you know, I have a little bit of energy back, or, you know, whatever it is, I don't need sweets, I'm not living on coffee anymore. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. Because if you wake up in the morning and you have more energy, that's enough. If you wake up in the morning and you're free of those headaches that you've had for years, that's enough. You know, there's somebody that needs to hear your story. And if you meet somebody that has allergies and you didn't have allergies, that's okay. Borrow my testimony. You know, there are so many people in this company that have phenomenal stories, but that doesn't negate the story that you have. And I think that that's one of the biggest blessings in this is that there weren't a lot of people in my area that were doing this. I didn't follow anybody on Facebook when I first started this. I had no idea what was going on. So there was no one to compare things to. But I still wanted nothing to do with the business side of it. I actually went silver before I knew what silver was, and I was not going to share it with anyone. I called up my mom. My mom has Lyme's disease and fibromyalgia. And I called up 2 other allergy mamas and I just said, you know, I think that you should really try this. It's really doing amazing things for Riley. My direct sponsor doesn't really do a lot with the business side of it. And so I did not know what I was doing. I had them sign up as wholesale because that's the only way that I remembered how to sign up. And so my second direct upline sent me a message and she said, you just went silver. You could probably really do something with this. Why don't you start posting on Facebook? And I messaged her back and I was like, no, do not ever talk to me about this again. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want anything to do with a marketing company and I will not post on Facebook. She did not know me. We are like oil and water. We get along very, very well, but she is very bold and I was not bold and I was not having it at the beginning of this. And so I think that it's a complete God divine thing that when she messaged me back, she said, that's perfect. I don't want a salesperson. We want a shares person. And you have something that could share and change so many people. And as a yellow, that was key for me because we have something that can share and be life-changing for so many people. So if you haven't read the book, Network Marketing, like the coloring for MLMs, grab that book and read it. It is a really, really quick read. I'm a firm believer in this business that you are not just one color. You know, I am a strong yellow. I have a lot of blue in me. I also love science and ingredients, and I love being in front of people. So I feel like I have all colors in me. Just because I'm a strong yellow doesn't mean that I don't need to know about all of the other colors. But when you're reaching out to somebody, take a little bit of time and look at their page. You know, scroll through their Facebook page. If they love being around parties and love being with people, tell them about that. Plexus throws the most amazing parties, like things that I never ever even dreamt possible that a stay-at-home mom of 3 could be able to attend. But if Aaron would have messaged me that day and said, hey, you could have a free Lexus and take your parents to Hawaii for their 40th anniversary, because I was blessed to be able to do that when we went to Hawaii. It was my parents' 40th anniversary. They've always wanted to go. My husband couldn't go with the dairy farm, and I got to take my parents. And that makes me really emotional too, because I never thought that I would be in a position to pay back the things that they've given to me. This opportunity is so, so real, so real. And I think that it's something that not a lot of people realize and buy into, because you're afraid to dream about those things. So if that's you, if you're afraid to dream, stop. You know, I know that that sounds really simple, but we can fail at things that we aren't good at and that we don't want every single day. Or we can step outside of our comfort zones, we can get consistent, and we can face those fears. And that's exactly what I had to do at the beginning of this. I was a perfectionist. And I don't think that perfectionism is good. You know, Brené Brown has some really, really amazing videos, but I was such a perfectionist that I didn't want people to see that anything was wrong. Some of my closest friends didn't know that I suffered from RA, because I felt like I needed to fix something and I couldn't fix it. And I didn't want people to know that. So coming out on Facebook and talking about all of those things, the first time that somebody commented negative on my Facebook post, I deleted it and I didn't post for a week, guys. Like, I didn't want anything to do with the negative part of it. So know that wherever you're at on this journey, it's okay. You can build, and you can build your belief. But reach out to the people that are around you. And if you are watching this and you don't have the belief in the company right now, it's okay. But what's not okay is to not borrow the belief from somebody else until you get yours. Because I know your leaders have the belief in you. I've got the belief in you. Watch a Diamond documentary. They've got the belief in you, and they don't even know you, because this is real and it can happen for you. But you have to start buying into it little by little. And don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20, because you will build those chapters every step of the way. So little by little, I bought into it, but I had all of the excuses. I didn't have time. My husband's gone 16 hours a day. I had 3 kids under 5. I was still doing my vinyl business. But somebody had messaged me on Super Saturday, a couple weeks before Super Saturday, and we had to travel 4 hours to Princeton, New Jersey, to be able to go. And I said, you know, I don't really know if that's something that I want to do. I don't think that I want to travel that far. Woke up that morning, it was sleeting and icy, and I almost canceled. If you have not registered for Super Saturday, if you have somebody on your team that is not registered for Super Saturday, be bold, message them. If you need to show up at their house at 5 o'clock in the morning and drive wherever it is in your area, get there, because it will change everything for you. These events are real, and being in a room with that many people that believed, like, it still gives me chills. There's nothing better. I found some of my absolute best friends in Plexus, in sidelines and downline, you know, like, it does not matter, but get to an event. I sat at that event, and it was Kristen Abart and Jennifer Leith. And I felt like I was the only person in the room and they were talking directly to me. And I came home from that event and talked to my husband about it. I was a silver ambassador 2 years ago in January. Came home from that event and I told my husband, I don't know what there is about this, but I think I want to shut my vinyl business down. I was making like maybe $300 a month with Plexus at that point. It was not even a tenth of what I was making with my vinyl business. I was a math teacher. Like, that was not smart move on our part, but it was one of my excuses. I told myself that I didn't have time. And if I wanted this to work, something had to give because I needed to make the time. So whatever your excuses are, write them down. Whatever your goals are, write your goals down. But it's not just enough to write it down. There's a lot of power from taking whatever is in your mind and putting it on paper. But you have to do a little bit more than that. Take those goals that you have. And if you want to be a gold ambassador, you might write down the steps that it takes you. You need 20 active people on your team to get there. That's perfect. But now what are you going to do to get there? And one of the biggest things is that you have to address the excuses that you have. An excuse for me was time. I needed to address that because if I didn't, it wasn't going to happen. So for me, that was closing something down. That was blocking out time. You're going to hear people talk about power hours. If a power hour doesn't work for you, make it a power 15, make it a power 10, make it a power 5, but be intentional with what you're doing. We get so good at multitasking and feeling like we need to have 15 tabs open in our brains at all times. And we're like clicking back and forth between all of them. Like, that's not being intentional about anything. And the beauty in this business is when you are with your families, be with your family. And when you are sending messages, send messages. When you're doing the laundry, bring up a YouTube video and listen to it. When you're doing the dishes, and one of the very first things that I do every morning is I bring up a motivational YouTube video and I listen to it while I'm showering, because you need that positivity. You need to start your day with motivation and positive thoughts. So that January we went gold. We started ranking every other month after that until Ruby. And I was set to rank Ruby and Senior Ruby the same month. And I didn't. And I know now that was another God divine thing, because it really forced me to step back and look at who I was as a leader and the duplication process that we were having on our team. Sometimes, especially for those of you that are yellows, it can be really hard to convey what we're doing because we just want to love on everybody and sit in a circle and sing kumbaya and not have to worry that we're going to offend someone. If they joined you, they look up to you. They want you to be their coach. And sometimes you're going to have those really hard conversations. But it's okay to have those hard conversations because that's why you're here. So take a look at yourself and those things that are hard for you to do and to step outside of your comfort zone. That's making you a better leader, but it's also making your team better leaders. We did my leader Zooms around Sunday night. We were all in tears because there were some hard things that had to be talked about and some hard things that were happening. And every ounce of me wanted to be like, oh, guys, like my internet's going out. But you have to push through those things because that's what makes this amazing. So we ranked Senior Ruby in October and had not re-ranked to Senior Ruby until March of this past year. Had a really sweet girl message me on my team, and everybody was trying to rank in April because that was like the cutoff so you could be recognized at convention this year because it was in June. And she messaged me. We ended April with 796 points. Which to get to Emerald, you need 1,500. And she said, why don't you just go for it? Like I said, I was a math teacher. Like, there was no numbers there to jump 800 points to be able to get to Emerald the next month. And for some reason, I got on my team page and I was like, hey, we're doing this. We're going for Emerald. But I tell you that because we jumped 800 points that month and ended up with 1,596 points the end of April as an Emerald team. It still gives me goosebumps and makes me I'm emotional. There's no hiding that about a lot of things in life. But that month really showed me that this has nothing to do with me. It really doesn't. And sometimes that's a hard blow. Like, we want to really think that this is about us. It's not about you. It's not about your upline. It's not about your sidelines. Once you stop pointing the arrows at yourself and start pointing them to everybody else that's around you, and realizing that you're not doing this by yourself. You don't have to have every single strength. You don't have to be an amazing speaker. You don't have to organize every single party for your team and make every single graphic. Pull from your people that you're with. Pull those strengths. Your weaknesses, we all have them. Don't spend so much time trying to perfect your weaknesses that you don't focus on your strengths and focus on the strengths of the people that are around you, because you do this as a team. We this summer we made it to #1 on the leaders board. Like, that's insane to me, living in a town the size that we do. Like, this is not about your size of your town. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about the people that you're with and loving on them and being bold. I say all the time when I go to bed at night, if I haven't done something that day to step outside of my comfort zone, like to get that feeling in your gut that makes you want to like crawl back inside, then it hasn't been a good day. And I'll never forget, Sarah Marble told me one time, she said, you have this little circle and that's your comfort zone and you're stuck on the inside of it. But the second that you do something to step outside of that comfort zone, you will never go back to the person that you were, because now your comfort zone is out here. And the next time that you step outside, your comfort zone grows a little bit more. And some people aren't going to get, I think as a yellow too, that we worry a lot about people's perception of us, and not everyone is ready to grow with us. And that's hard. I mean, I had some really hard conversations with some of my very best friends. And I had one of my best friends of more than a decade tell me that she stopped looking at my posts on Facebook and she didn't want to talk anymore because everything was plexus. And I felt like somebody had stabbed me in the back. Like, that was hard. But I don't want to be the person that I was 2 years ago. I don't want to be the person that I was yesterday. Not because I didn't love myself then, but because I love where I'm at now. So take those hard moments and embrace them, and know that you can do this. Whatever your goals are, maybe your goal right now is to make $500 a month. You can do it, but open up about those goals. Talk to the people that are on your team, because that's when it's going to happen for you. When you're bold enough to tell other people and find your shareholders, because that's the amazing part of this, is that you're never, ever alone.
Thank you so much. That was so good. I took so many.
I talk a lot, so I think I probably went way over, but
no, that was amazing. I hope you guys took as much away from that as I did. But I loved, because I say this to my team all the time. You talked about it for like on the customer side of things. But I tell my ambassadors this all the time too. On the business side of things is, as your leader, we can't want this for you more than you can want it for you.
For sure.
And so I love that you said that, even just about people, because something that we've been talking about on my team is like educating people versus selling them on something, because they have to recognize their need for the products. Just because we see that they're sick and we can tell them all day long they need it, like you were saying, they have to recognize that need.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the business. And so I love that you said that.
If you haven't read the Get Over Your, I don't want to DAM
self
book.
I
don't know if you have kids listening. But she has an example in there, and it really struck a chord with me. Like, we have these people on our list. We have ambassadors on our list, or wholesale customers, whoever they are. And we get a special, and it's like, if you look back up, like the last 5 things that we've messaged them, it's the latest special. Like, we just keep messaging them. Oh yeah, you've got it. But she says in there, like, if we think about this, and my business coach said this, he said, Bree, when people ask you what you do, what do you say? And I said, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And he said, no, you're not. You're running a 6-figure business from your living room at night after your babies go to sleep. And I was like, man, like, that hit me. Like, whether you're making $5 and you're getting healthy, or you're making $5,000, you're still a business owner. And if you're a business owner and you have to sit someone down in front of you and you're doing an interview and you have to beg someone to come on and work for you, they're not going to stick around. So don't beg your customers and don't beg your ambassadors. Be there for them and love on them and show them what this opportunity is, but make it something that they're invested in, and then they will stick with you for the long haul. Don't have them join just because there's $25 off. Have them join because they see the value in what that $25 represents.
That's good. Does anybody have questions? Open it up. You're muted, so if you have a question, you have to unmute yourself. Or if you're shy, you can type in the chat. I'll give it a couple minutes, and then if nobody does, we'll wrap it up.
Never hesitate. I'm an open book. I'll get your message if you send me one.
Oh, I did want to address something because I see Kristen's on. I have somebody who, she has one of her best friends who has autoimmune. And so I was sharing your story, and she's, I think, getting kind of, Kristen, chime in on the chat if you want to, but she was getting kind of discouraged. And so, it's kind of like you said, like, Kristen doesn't have autoimmune. I don't have autoimmune. But I was telling her that you have had a lot of autoimmune issues and how a lot of those symptoms have subsided. So, Kristen, I'm going to unmute you, Kristen. And do you want to ask Bree?
Sure. One of my good friends is